Amazon FBA will never be the same again. It's changed, guys, and this is undeniable. Now, for a certain group of people, maybe you, if you're watching this change is going to mean thousands of dollars lost, maybe tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. But if you're in another group of people, what's changed on Amazon may make you millions of dollars. So watch this video if you want to find out what is the change, what's changed on Amazon, and how is it going to affect you. And this is something that I've been looking at very recently, actually, for our own Amazon FBA business, where we're essentially looking ahead and trying to digest everything that's changed this year in 2020 and what it means for us. And I've been doing some research and the results have been quite surprising, to be honest. So I wanted to share these results with you, the research that I've just done. Again, this is stuff that we're looking at for our business. So by the way, if you are new to this channel, my name's Myles. Welcome. I'm a multiple seven-figure seller. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and also click the notification bell so you get videos just like this as they come out. And without further ado, guys, let's get into this video explaining what's changed on Amazon. So for us, the last couple of months have been insane. Never would have expected this could have happened. Our sales have just gone through the roof. And here's the thing, they've stayed there. They've stayed really, really high. And now we're looking at Q4 and we're trying to decide rather, what are these sales going to be like? Is this just a blip? Is this a once-off event? You know, with the whole Roni virus, is it just going to come back down to normal, or is this the new normal? So let's just go through them. I'm going to walk you through the articles, or some of the main points, what I got out of them. Again, this is for the purpose of looking forwards and understanding what has changed and how does it affect you. Whether you're on the outside, you're looking at selling on Amazon, whether you are already selling like I am, whether you're wondering whether you should scale or whether you should be defensive, whether you should be cautious or aggressive, moving into these next couple of months, into next year as well. Let's go through this now. So like I said, the last few months have been crazy. And this article sums it up very well. This has been one of the most uncertain and capricious years ever for e-commerce. As businesses look to recover from the early effects of COVID, e-commerce advertisers must ask what happens next. And I suppose before that, you've got to ask what actually happened. And so if you're not in the loop, apart from my own experience that I just told you about, we've been doing record months for the last 3-4 months now. After a really big dip and a really, really scary sort of couple of weeks where, you know, I was making up plans to, if I was going to have to fire everyone from my business and if my product stopped making any money, what would I be doing myself? That whole period lasted a few weeks. And then the true results sort of came out. So you can see here, Amazon itself as the whole company, the whole platform, reported record earnings for its second fiscal quarter of 2020, including revenue up 40% to 88.9 billion, a net income of 5.2 billion, and basically doubling what they were expecting to do, doubling what they did last year. Net income of 2.6 billion last year, and then this year 5.2, literally doubling year on year. That is just insane. So that's what happened. That's what's happened up until now. Now the question, what happens next? And more specifically, what do you and I do about it? So this article goes through, how to prepare your ad strategy. I'm not going to go through all the basics. I'll leave the links to all these articles, by the way, down in the description down below. But I was reading through this and I got to this key point. So if e-commerce is going to continue spiking during months that aren't traditionally as important as Q4, like we've been seeing in March, April, May, June, July, and now August as well, then brands should capitalize on these opportunities. And this is especially important if you've got competitors active in the space, which to be honest, we all do, since you risk getting left behind and losing share if you don't pivot quickly during times of change. Pivot quickly during times of change. Is this something you're doing at the moment? Are you pivoting right now, or are you sitting on the sidelines? Are you scared? Are you just hoping that everything goes back to normal? Honestly, the more that I look at this and the more that I think about it, the more that I realize you've got to pivot. You've got to either double down on what you're doing. If you're already selling on Amazon, if you're already an e-commerce seller and it's working for you and your sales are up, that's the pivot already. Double down, get aggressive. Now's the time to go all in. If you're sitting on the sidelines, then you're in that group of people that I was talking about at the start. This is a change that has already happened where, for example, I know lots of people on this channel may have been following me for 2 years, since I started doing these videos 2 years ago, or even before that. I know people that I've spoken on the phone to who started selling at the same time that I did, and they've just not done much with it. Not to sound too harsh about it, but just kind of sat on the sidelines, maybe had a little bit of a dabble, maybe dipped your toes in the water to see what it was like. You've had as much time as I've had, which is 3, maybe even 4 years, to be in this position, to be capitalizing. And now this huge step change has just happened. And I'm going to show you more of this research, which indicates that this is not a one-time event. This is an acceleration, a great acceleration of 3 to 4 to maybe even like half a decade's worth of time has just happened in 3 to 4 months. And so if you were sitting on the sidelines, you've known about this for a while and you haven't taken action now, geez, guys, you haven't missed the boat. I don't want to say you missed the boat, but you should be kicking yourself right now, particularly if you're sitting at home, you're working at home, or maybe you've lost your job and you're thinking, geez, I probably should have done this like 2 to 3 years ago or when I first heard about it. You probably should have. Anyway, so even if you're on selling now, you risk getting left behind and losing share if you don't pivot quickly. So think about what that means for you. Does that mean getting into Amazon? If you're in Amazon, does that mean doubling down? If you're one of the people selling in categories that have been negatively impacted by this whole shift, your categories, the sales are down, think about what is your pivot. Times are changing, times have changed and will continue to change. So what is your pivot? How are you not going to get left behind? So think about that. That was one comment from this article. And then just going on the same theme here, that Amazon has changed and will never be the same again. Here we go. For brands that saw a negative impact on sales in half 1, 2020, online holiday season will be more important than ever. This year is anticipated to be the largest online shopping season we have ever seen. Barron's, and I'll click on this link in a sec, expects 51 billion online sales during this period, up from only 28.4 billion in 2019. Again, guys, that's around about an 80% increase. That is insane year on year. Can you think about your job? If you're making an income right now, can you imagine what it's like to get an 80% increase in your pay just year on year? I can, because it's happening to me because my income comes from Amazon and it's freaking crazy. And it's not possible if you work a job and if you do things the old way. Again, the topic of this video is Amazon FBA will never be the same again. But the fact is that the world will never be the same again. So think about, are you exposed to these kinds of changes, these massive upward shifts? If you're not exposed, get some exposure. You want to start getting into this. Again, if you've been thinking about this for some time now, understand that you got to start taking these steps like a little bit in advance. And you can never predict when these things will change, when these things will happen. The idea is to get the exposure. If you're just standing on the sidelines, get in. What are the sayings? Like, you've got to be in it to win it. Or another one, you've got to risk it for the biscuit. Sometimes you've got to risk a bit for the biscuit. Anyway, next point on this article is, it's nearly impossible to predict what the rest of 2020 will look like. That's true. Everything's very uncertain. With times of massive change comes massive volatility and uncertainty, right? So while e-commerce advertisers may need to deal with uncertain times in Q4, it is clear that the industry as a whole is seeing massive growth this year. So that's that for this article. But have you seen this? So the key points here are pivot. Understand what your current position is, and do you need to pivot? And even if that pivot is to double down on what you're doing, it's to get aggressive. Again, it's clear that the industry as a whole is seeing massive growth this year. If you're not in it, get in it. If you're in it, get more in it. All right. So that's the first article. I wanted to expand on this next one, which is the Barron's one that was just linked there. So that's just the same comment before, but basically biggest event for e-commerce sales we've ever seen. So this is not, to be honest, this is not what I thought. Again, I've posted videos on this channel over the last couple of months as things have unfolded, and I was pretty scared at the start. I think a lot of people were, and I think that's okay. But at the same time, you've got to stay current with the data, the research that's coming out. What are the trends telling you? What is the information that's rolling and giving you more data and information over time? What is that telling you? And what it's telling us now is that Barron's is expecting an 80% increase year on year. Crazy. So that's coming from Adobe, which is cited. And here's the interesting thing. McCarthy says that the 2020 result could be even bigger than what we'll see in 2021 when bricks and mortar shopping is likely to return to normal. Now, this again goes back to the never be the same again, and it's accelerated some groups of people forwards by 3 to 4 years in good terms, and it's also accelerated changes that are negative for other groups of people. So that's bricks and mortar shopping right now. It is going to return back to normal, but understand that, like, if you're in online shopping now, you basically have this limited window of growth where you've got no competition. Bricks and mortar is out at the moment. It's out for the count, where people are just too scared to go into shopping. I don't know if it's in this article, but another article I was reading, I think it is about this. They're basically saying that, the biggest shopping events of the year, which is, Thanksgiving and all of that, people aren't going into stores during this period because they're too scared they'll get the virus. And this is a one-time, the virus, maybe it's not a one-time event, but this is essentially a window of opportunity where if you're already in it, if you'd already started dipping your toes into it, bam, 80%, why not? I'll take that. And then it's going to close up. Now, he's talking about growth, right? So the growth of e-commerce is this huge one-time event. But then we're going to capture those gains and keep those gains. And I'll show you in these next articles exactly what that means. And here we go. Here it just says, in this survey by online company Fluent, among respondents who would usually shop on Thanksgiving Day, 26% plan to shop exclusively online this year. That's nearly double the 15% who would do so if there were no virus concerns. And so that's a massive change. So that's for this year. And I think that was the only comment for this one. That was. And this next one is from TechCrunch. And it says US e-commerce sales to jump 18% in 2020, but not enough to offset retail's decline. So again, you've got this basically divergence here. You've got the new way of doing things. You've got e-commerce, and that's jumping 18% this year. But it's not enough to offset the old way of doing things, old retail, bricks and mortar. That's the past, basically, which is actually declining by more than 18%. So you've got this divergence of pathways, and it really is like, which path are you on right now? Are you doing things the old way, or are you doing things the new way? And you can go read this article. I'll leave a link down below. But check out what Andrew Lipsman has to say. So he says, everything we're seeing with e-commerce is unprecedented. How you pronounce it, I don't know. What it means is it's never happened before, with growth rates expected to surpass anything we've seen since the Great Recession. So these are once in a decade events. These are potentially once in a lifetime events where you've got to be in it to take advantage of it. Again, if you want to take the, whatever it is, 18% on average, or the other website was saying, or Barron's was saying 80%, these are crazy rates of growth, crazy rates of growth. And here he says, certain e-commerce behaviors like online grocery shopping and click and collect have permanently catapulted 3 or 4 years into the future in just 3 or 4 months. Permanently catapulted 3 or 4 years into the future. Again, Amazon FBA will never be the same again. And it's a matter of which side of this are you on? Are you doing things the new way? Are you going to be doing things the new way? Or are you stuck in this old way? Which, while the future's been, we've all been pushed 3 to 4 years into the future, the old way of doing things, that's been pushed, I guess, 3 to 4 years further into its decline. It's going nowhere. It's just happening faster now. And what else have we got on this article? Just to get to the end here, who's the actual winner out of this? I know this is talking about e-commerce. This is talking about sales in general. In the article, as expected, Amazon will outpace the lot. Amazon will increase its e-commerce market share to 38% and extend its reign of dominance. And if you're new to this channel, you're not too familiar with how Amazon FBA works, private labeling, keep in mind that when it says Amazon will increase its share to 38% and its reign of dominance, that's talking about Amazon, the platform. Understand that more than 50% of sales that actually take place on Amazon's platform are not sold by Amazon. They're actually sold by people like me, people like you, maybe if you're watching this, and just normal people, third-party sellers selling on Amazon's platform. So this reign of dominance, while yes, it's Amazon, the company, Amazon.com is a platform, understand that more than the majority of those sales, the majority of that reign of dominance is actually people just like me, and could be people just like you too. And here we go, Wallaroo, coronavirus and e-commerce, real-time data, trends, predictions, and more. Again, we're looking at the future. How is this changing? This is from July, and it says crazy times. It's still crazy times. It's August as the time of filming. And just check this out. So e-commerce as a percentage of total retail sales in the US in 2019 was 11%. So that's tiny, right? That's almost nothing. Right now, during July, during COVID, it has jumped to 30%. That's saying it's tripled. And JP Morgan, I'll show you this in a sec, JP Morgan thinks that's a long-term shift. Adobe's just reported that e-commerce sales have increased 49% month over month. So what is the key learning here? If you're running an e-commerce brand, now is the time to scale. Now is the time to get aggressive and to double down. And if you're not running an e-commerce brand, why aren't you running an e-commerce brand? Because now's the time to get into it, and now's the time to scale and to get aggressive and risk it for the biscuit, be in it to win it. I'm sure you can think of some other ones. If you know some other some sayings like that mean the same thing, which is like get after it, then leave them in the comments down below. Again, a lot of data to back all of this up, but I just want to share one more quote, and it says, as the quarantine lifts and people start going out more again, these newly built online shopping habits or deepened habits won't just disappear. They will carry on, and this guy Webb is predicting an almost 50% jump in e-commerce sales by next year to 15%. So that's from the 10 to 11% to 15%. Again, these are massive numbers. These are truly massive numbers. And just understand that this is a shift that, while it would have been really nice if you're on the outside again, it would have been really nice for you, particularly if you talked or heard about Amazon FBA and started doing the research and thought about getting into this. For you, it would have been great, and you probably would be making a lot more money right now if you had started a year ago. I'm assuming you haven't yet. But it's not too late. A lot of this is a permanent shift. Yes, the growth rates are going to be the fastest now during this year. And so if you're already selling, if you're getting ready for Q4, again, now's the time to gear up. Now's the time to put the gear on and get ready. if you're not selling yet, I mean, look, guys, for a slight aside here to give you some practical advice, if you're somewhere in this process of you're a beginner, you're looking at selling, you may be looking for a product, you're trying to ship a product in right now, just understand, this is a really common question, by the way, if you're trying to rush to get into Q4, is it too late? Can I do this? As of the time that I'm filming this right now, it's the 20th of August. It really depends on where you're at right now. If you're just looking at this, let's say, I've just piqued your interest in terms of doing this, it's probably too late for you. It really depends on the variables are, your manufacturing time, how long does it take you to find the product, find the supplier, and then actually get it manufactured, and then also get it shipped into Amazon. Those two time periods, you're kind of pushing it at this point, particularly if you're behind that. But look, just do the process, follow the process, don't skip any steps in the process, don't try and take shortcuts to try and get in quicker, to try and maximize this, this crazy Q4 that's coming up, this crazy jump in e-commerce sales. Don't skip the steps. Do what you need to do. Do everything correctly. Do it thoroughly. Make sure that you're minimizing risk for yourself. But just do it as quick as you can. Don't delay. Don't think, it's too late. And at the same time, don't just force yourself to get in this deadline, because these changes are crazy, guys. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, literally, you're seeing the proof here is this is not me. This is real research, and this has never happened before. Again, it's not just going to go back to normal. The new normal is what it's going to go back to, and that's going to be the future, basically. We're in the future. So let's go into the next article. This one was the JP Morgan data from that one referenced, and I'll just bring it up here. So it says, in typical banker format, it's kind of hard to read, but US e-com post-COVID-19, 30 to 40% growth, long-term penetration, right? And here, actually, this is really cool. So it says the categories, and it gives you the breakdown as percentage of retail for e-commerce in 2019, and then the long term. This is according to JP Morgan, the investment bank. So I'll just go through it. What do they think? Grocery. So groceries, obviously, if you haven't heard about it, was massive for Amazon. So it's gone from 3%, very little, to 15%. Huge. Furniture, appliances, equipment. So some of you could be selling or could be looking at selling furniture, maybe appliances. That's gone from 8% to 25%. So effectively what this means, guys, is the e-commerce percentage as a percentage of retail. Let's say if the retail is unchanged, so there's the same demand for jewelry and watches, right? So let's say 1 million watches are being sold in a year, 17% or 170,000 of them last year were being sold online. Now it's 30%. So that's literally almost double. That's about 80%, same statistic as before. So if you're an Amazon seller, let's say you're selling jewelry or watches, I don't normally recommend you get into those categories, but let's say you are, your sales in the long term have just gone up by 80%. That's crazy. That's just insane. And this is like in a couple of months. Home and garden, same thing. It's more than doubled, from 16% to 35%. And I mean, I'm seeing this around me. I'm seeing this in our business. This is again why I'm doing this research. This is literally answering my question, actually. I wanted to know if I'm selling in home and garden, or I'm selling, whatever it is, sports and fitness. I want to know, is the crazy increase of sales that I've seen, is the massive amount of extra money that I've made over the last couple of months, is this going to continue in the long term, or is this just a blip in the rate, a blip in the trend? It's going to go back to normal. JP Morgan, the investment bank, is telling me that nope, it's going to continue. This is a long-term change that's happening right now. So again, home and garden more than doubling in the long term, from 16 to 35%. What are some other interesting ones? Again, sports and fitness more than doubling from 21 to 45%. Apparel 21 to 50%, crazy. Toys and hobbies 30 to 50%. So that is, again, these are all like close to doubling, guys. Office supplies, actually not much change in office supplies. And yeah, so those are the crazy ones. So what do they say? We believe the shift online will prove sustainable after the crisis ends. We now project 35 to 40% long-term e-com penetration, up from prior 30% estimate. And grocery is the biggest swing factor. Guys, this is crazy. So again, if you're on that second group of people, you're in it, just look at these numbers and understand that you've got to prepare for real long-term growth here. If you're on the outside looking in, I'm sorry you didn't start earlier. Understand that this means that the size of the pie online has it's doubled, right? So there's going to be more room. It's going to be harder for, I think, a lot of people to get into this, because coronavirus has just been a massive wake-up call. So if you're just having this wake-up call now, understand that lots of other people are, and maybe you don't want to be left behind. I don't know. I'm definitely feeling like I'm in the future right now, but come along with me, I suppose. So that's that one. And the next one we've got here, coronavirus, e-commerce opportunities, data and strategies, online shopping in the age of COVID. And what do we got here? I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but the good news is all numerous sources all report e-commerce faring far better as consumers turn to online shopping in both the short term and the long. And then it goes through what does that actually look like by the numbers, and it breaks it down by the numbers, and how you can use that as a strategy to not just survive, but thrive. What else? Here's the thing. Okay, so the trends now, again, maybe you've been following my channel for the last couple of months. You've seen my thought process with some videos that I put out about what was going to happen. The thing is, as decision makers, we're responsible for our own business. We're responsible for our own lives. We need to use data to make decisions. And at the start, when something massive shifts like this, you don't have all the data. So you can only do the best that you can do with the data you have available. And those initial decisions, when you first do, it's like when you first start selling, right? You don't have that much information. You don't have that much expertise or knowledge to make the right decisions. You can only do the best that you can do with the knowledge you have. And by the way, that is where a lot of the value is in investing in training, is so that you can have way more knowledge than you otherwise would. So you can make better decisions, so you can make more money, so you can pivot faster, so you can do the right thing sooner and just get going, right? So, but now the point is that as the time goes on and as we have more data, we know more about what's shifting, we know more about what's happening. It says here the trends are not only more accurate than initial data suggested, but also more encouraging. And I want to repeat this. So categorical data emerged from a host of sources, so this is quite definitive research, reveals both disparities as well as one overarching refrain. Whether this is a temporary gold rush or enduring step change, now is an unprecedented, I don't know how to pronounce that word, unprecedented moment. Now is e-commerce's time to act. This is almost exactly the same wording as that other article that I read, which these are completely separate, by the way, guys, but are you getting this? Are you understanding this? The title of the video, I've got it here, Amazon FBA will never be the same again, because now is an unprecedented, someone tell me how to pronounce this word, unprecedented moment. Now is e-commerce's time to act. Is it your time to act? Is this your time to act and take advantage of this unprecedented, never before seen moment, never to be seen again? Maybe it will be, who knows? I would say, and I'm speaking for myself at least, when I say yes, now is the time to act. Now's the time to get aggressive. Now's the time to risk it for the biscuit. Now's the time to be in it to win it. I'm in it to win it. I'm risking it for the biscuit. If you are also selling on Amazon, I recommend that you do too. Obviously, use this data. I'll provide these links. Do your own research as well to make sure that your particular products, that they are going to be, gaining like the averages are. And if you're not in this yet, if you want to learn how to do it properly, if you want to learn from me, then definitely check out the link in the description down below. Through that process, you can go through a video, then you can maybe you can apply to come on a call with me, and we can see if it's a good fit to work together, and I can teach you how to do this properly. Whether or not you do that, I hope you can see the writings on the wall, guys. Amazon FBA, e-commerce in general, but specifically Amazon FBA will never be the same again. Times have changed. Now's the time to decide which side are you going to be on. Are you going to be in the past, the old way of doing things, the way of doing things that's getting further and further on the way out, or are you going to be the other side? Are you going to be in the future? I mean, to be honest, we're in the future now, so really it's just like, are you going to catch up to the future? I hope to see you in the future with me. Make sure, by the way, if you're still watching this video, make sure to give the video a like, do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the future.